There are two very good write-ups that must be read together to get the right context to the discussion of third force or independent candidate or whatever breaking the duopoly. So there's an article written by Ace Ankuma, and then there's an article written by David Ampofo. David Ampofo wrote this article July 2016, and then Ace, I think, is a bit more recent. So Ace is looking at the difficulty of a third force winning elections in Ghana, and David is looking at the necessity of an independent candidate if we are to change Ghana's political fortune. So, and I feel those two articles is like the yin and the yang. You need to read them together to give a rounded picture. They don't really mention Alan. There are no discussions about Alan, but I think because the issue has come up. So I have a question for listeners this morning. Yesterday, Alan Kyerematen declared that he was going to run election 2024 as an independent candidate. Would you vote for Alan? Would you vote for an independent candidate? Especially those who say they are tired of the NPP and NDC duopoly. You can send me a WhatsApp message. You can send me a voice note. I think that's a fair question, right?
Well, you've asked it. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question. I mean, people vote for NDC and NPP. So there's no need to ask them. What they haven't voted for yet is an independent candidate. At least if you look at the electoral history of the past 30 years. So will you vote for Alan?
But if you look at the political history of this country, you could say that, well, the dominant parties now have a long history, some beyond the 30 years, although they have metamorphosed into different parties and different ideologies over time. You know, the Dankwabuzia tradition goes way back. The NDC has elements of all kinds of different political ideologies that have made it what it is now. So that is what Ghanaians have become used to. So
because of what you've said, I will read the articles.
You will read them?
Not fully. I'll read highlights because you see, that is the very reason why the success of a third force has been difficult. The way the two parties have been entrenched.
Yes.
And a lot of people think that the only thing that could break that would be a movement.
Yes.
Where people feel they are tired, they have the right candidate with the right message and the right
A
machine.
lot of things must go right at the same time.
Exactly. You are right. So there has to be all the stars aligning at the same time
Perfectly.
for that thing to happen. And then also that could even mean that the duopoly
are also weak.
Fantastic. So we are going to examine that.
Okay.
We are going to examine that shortly. And whilst we do that, Sky put up a poll on his Twitter. This was in June.
This was shortly after he had announced that he was no longer going to be part of the race.
Oh, what did you?
So this was the first week of September.
Yeah, so this was actually
6th September.
On the 6th of September 2023.
What did you ask?
So I said, after his extensively publicized decision to withdraw from the race to become the NPP's 2024 flag bearer, do you believe Alan Kyerematen should stand for president as an independent candidate next year?
Oh, so you asked that question?
Yeah, I asked that question. If
6th September.
Yeah. If he chooses to do so, how do you intend to cast your vote in 2024?
Oh, Sky, you should have broken it into two polls. You should have made the first question question one, and then the second question, because you see, you can believe he should run, but not think you will vote for him.
Okay.
You see, so you consolidated the poll.
Yeah.
So what did the response say?
So the first one, response, I will vote for Alan. 13% of the people who voted, 1,136 votes came in.
13% said to vote for Alan.
13% said they will vote for Alan.
All right.
Now, 50% said they will vote for John Dramani Mahama.
Okay. What's the rest?
16% said they will vote for the MPP because I didn't have an MPP candidate because they're still in the process.
So what, 16?
16%. And then I won't vote at all, 21%.
You got to be kidding me.
That's a very high number. That 21%.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So, but it's got a couple of things. I don't want to question your poll.
That's okay.
But the English was too big.
Yeah, but
this was interesting. So when he announced that he was going to give an announcement,
race,
you preempted it.
Yes, because I had, some discussions with some people close to the situation, and they had given me the indication that he was going to pull out entirely.
So you asked them that if they were. So repeat the second part of the poll again. What was the question?
If he chooses to do so, i.e. go independent, how do you intend to cast your vote in 2024?
And this was 6th September.
Yes.
And then 13% said they will vote for him.
They will vote for Alan. 50% said they will vote for John Dramani Mahama. 16% said they will vote NPP. And I won't vote at all, 21%.
So if Ghana is a duopoly, the NDC people, they will vote for Mahama.
Yes.
The non-NDC people will either vote for Alan, either wait for the candidate to be chosen or not vote at all. All right, that's an interesting
but
one.
It's not that simple for Alan. No. He has to go past GUM.
But have you noticed that GUM is not as visible this year as he was prior to 2020? So you notice that in the past 2 months, Kofi Akpaloo and now Hassan Yarega have started putting up their billboards. GUM in 2020.
Kofi Akpaloo started way before.
GUM was using media programming because my Baba used to tell me about GUM.
GUM, yes.
Right?
Now he doesn't talk about him that much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he built a certain following on media.
Yes.
And then it culminated into the party.
Yes.
There doesn't seem to be that type of organization for him. So there's a certain sense that the third place or the place be the
it's up for grabs.
Yes. So I sense that people feel like there's a fatigue for NDC and NPP and everybody wants to cash in.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is with Alan still coming in, there's that the GUM is the third party as we speak now, based on the last elections that we had. It could be up for grabs, as you say. We don't know what will happen. But the target is GUM.
No, I don't want you to say that way because, every election, the third changes.
Yes.
So that tells you that position is not even, like Indum. Yeah. Indum was the third guy for a long time and didn't really fit. So
well, if you look at Indum's numbers and GUM's numbers.
No, but Indum prior to GUM had done better. So what I'm saying is that there's always a new person that pretends, as a pretender to the duopoly. And so the question is this the moment? Is he the right man? Does he have the right message? Does he have the right machine? Everything is an end. So you need the right moment, right? Like the Arab Spring, somebody self-emulated. Then you need the right person. Yeah. So the Egyptian Google worker. So you need the right man. Then you need the right message, right? Then you need the right machine because you can't win an election without a machine. And then you need money. So those are the 5 M's. The moment, the man, the message, the machine, and the money. And those things are
I think the man even comes first. The man and the moment. I feel that the man first, the moment, and then the rest.
No, I actually think the moment is the, you see, because a moment, people can,
the moment is the most important.
Because what the moment does, that the moment can let people, like there are people in countries who just go on the street and say we are tired.
Okay.
A lot of the protests in the Arab Spring, there was no real man.
Yeah.
It was just a moment of people saying, it's like what you call the tipping point.
Yeah.
So when the tipping point comes, then if there's a man who's ready.
Okay. I mean, if you argue that way.
I think there's a saying that cometh the moment, cometh the man.
Yeah, but with this one,
the man
cometh
the moment.
Have you opened the floor?
No. I'm just teasing. We'll do it after 8. So I'm doing it at the same time. No, hold on. So Sky's poll is giving us something to think about. Sky, what I think you can do for us to help us is to do another one, or maybe let the Citi team do another one. Yes, which is more clear because yours was more speculative. You were saying if. All right. So now Alan has declared. We know Mahama is going to be on. The only point is that NPP, we are not sure, although it's very likely that Mahumia will be there. All right. and it's a very interesting point. You see, if you don't name the candidate, there are some people who will wait.
Yes.
So maybe the poll itself is premature. If you wait till November 4, let them choose, and then you have the person for NPP, you have the person for NDC, you have Alan, and then you have maybe CPP or whoever. Then you can then do it. Do you understand my point? Because if you look at your poll result, the 21%, maybe they are waiting for somebody else. You get it? Because you didn't list somebody from NPP. You just said
the NPP.
Yeah.
But I'm more concerned just off the cuff, you see, because if you recall, Kojo also did this sometime. Our good friend
As
Kojo
early as
Kojo,
2018.
None of the above.
he also had none of the above at around 20%. Too.
Yeah.
And Sky is here. I don't know what Musa Dankwa has done recently on that.
A lot of his polls show a lot of undecideds and a lot of I won't tell yous, even for MPP primaries. So there's a lot of that in a lot of the polls.
We need to pay attention to those numbers a bit more.
My challenge though is that a lot of these polls are self-selecting in the sense that we are dealing with social media savvy, elite, middle classes.
Certainly.
So if 20% of that group say they won't vote, that group is even supposed to control probably 15% of the election.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a good 40-40 that typically will go for the two. So if the 20% left, only 20% of them say they're undecided. Do you get my point? It's still a bit small. You need an overwhelming group within the floaters to say we want change. Because it's essentially in Ghana, what elections is about is that the two leading parties consolidate their base and appeal to floating voters.
Yeah.
Right? And the
difference is
their base is anything between, I don't know, 35 to 40%.
Constantly.
Based on the history of the elections.
Yeah.
So you have loyalists, you have supporters, you have sympathizers, and then you have voters. So if you are grading it, a loyalist is like die in the wood. Then you have a supporter who's probably a card-carrying member.
Then you have a sympathizer.
Then you have a sympathizer who prefers. And then you have a reluctant voter who will say, "It never sent me this party, but because of this guy's annoyance." Now, a lot of people theorize and say in Ghana, it is the anger of that small group to say, it's not because we like this person, but because of your annoyance, we vote against you. Because usually that 35% will stay in the middle. But what we should not forget is that history is only what's the word? History is only I wrote it somewhere yesterday, I forgot. So history is not deterministic of the future. History is not a predictor of the future. History is a good tool for analysis of understanding where we are. I say that to say that you can analyze everything 66, 78, 92, 96, 90. You can analyze all those things and still not be able to predict what will happen. So whilst we respect history and we learn from it, I'm not sure we should use history to then say we know for certain that a third party will not emerge. Because the moment is the most critical thing if my theory is to be confirmed.
Yes. The moment is here.
Are you sure? The moment is not yet ripe. Oh? Okay, by the way, let me ask you. Moment, man, message. Moment, man, message, machine, money. Are those the 5 tools for political power?
They are fair.
Fair.
They are fair.
Do you agree in terms of order of importance? Because some will say moment.
Yes, the moment, the man.
Yes.
Hold on a minute. The moment is on its own.
Yes.
The
man or woman.
The machine is what even determines the message.
No, hold on.
Or
you see?
Or the moment brings the message.
The moment brings the message.
Okay.
The man gets the machine.
So let's use 2000. Ghanaians had that rolling since 81 or 82. And they were tired.
Yes.
NPP had tried in 92.
96.
They boycotted the parliamentary. 96, they got closer. 2000, there was the moment.
The moment was there.
Then
they had the man.
Then he said, "She was sitting him to Abapa."
The message.
Now I was 19. I was in university. So it wasn't even about Kufuor. It was about this is the first. That's the first time I was going to vote. And the MPP was basically saying that you can change your destiny if you look at your life. You can imagine life under Rawlings, which you've been under since you were born.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a better future? So there was a moment, then there was a message.
But the man made the message.
No, I think at the time, Kufuor became strong post 2000 in terms of his persona 2004. 2004 was about Kufuor.
Yes.
But 2000 was about people saying that they want to change Rawlings. They want to change NDC. That's why they said...
So your assumption is that anybody other than Kufuor would still have won that election?
So you needed a credible party, which was MPP, which was strong.
Yes.
But my point is that if
I'm saying we guaranteed
the moment is correct.
But the man?
No, it was the message.
At that point?
Look, think about Eradi Kasa, the song. Asieho, she was sitting to Abapa. And Kufuor was one, but you see, NPP at the time had already a lot of strong men. So it was a collective. Remember, Kufuor would go on TV3, debate John Mahama. There were lots of things they were doing. It wasn't just Kufuor. And Kufuor wasn't even that eloquent.
No.
So the 2000 election was about having a credible message to Ghanaians that you've been under NDC. And even though Mills is a new face, it's the same old thing. So vote for NPP. It wasn't about vote for Kufuor. It was vote for NPP. No, I'm telling you.
This
and you see, in 2000, I was in the university. And I was following a bit of campus politics. In those days, if you're a student leader who is NDC, and all the political leaders in Ghana today can correct me if I'm wrong, particularly in Legon and Tech, if you are a student leader and they say you are NDC, you are finished. You can ask. 99, 2000, 2001. If I'm wrong, somebody should correct me. If they tag you NDC, because the student movement felt that they had to help change government. Because at that time, a lot of what the Eduboyans and Co were doing, or they'll go to a university and give lectures. So the universities had the U tags. They were the only opposition to the system. So in 2000, it was the message before the man.
I think 2000. Yeah. If I remember, I was what?
You were a teenager.
I was a teenager. I was 14, I think. So this is what when I sit down and I look back, I think it was a lot of the moment that carried the message. And all of those things came together to give the man an electoral win. So I don't think it was a lot more about Kufuor, and I could be wrong, but I felt that the moment and message came together. And at that time, once that mix was potent, you could find a man who
100%
had the air to, so the moment and message propelled the man to win that election.
A lot of my mates who were vandals, who were not necessarily MPP supporters, because the message was so compelling, the moment was right, they sat in buses and went to NDC strongholds to be polling agents for the MPP. Yes. And some of these guys are even NDC guys. I'm coming in 2 seconds. So that message and the moment was what even helped them get the machine in place. Because those listening to me can correct me if I'm wrong, there were lots of guys I know who were not necessarily MPP people, who sat in buses to go and do polling agent for MPP because they felt that the NDC had a stronger machine in organizing the election. All right. I don't even think MPP had that much money.
You see, you can the four things that you've listed. The
5.
Moment, you say 5. Mention them.
So moment, message, man, machine, and money. Machine is organization.
Yes.
Money is Lucci. Okay. Man is candidate. Message is what it is. Moment is.
Yeah.
They see. Let me just depart a little bit from Nathan. There has to be a confluence of these things to create an electoral victory.
Yes, that's also what I'm saying.
Yeah, but so your suggestion was that if all the 4 of them come together,
all of them will come together, not in the same proportion.
They set up whoever.
No, I wouldn't say that's what I'm saying. That in my argument, I say that, for example, if you look at the 2000 elections and I'm looking back from a more mature perspective, I feel that if you were doing a mix, a lot more weight would be placed on the moment and the message. The man was important, but I feel that in that election, the moment and message had more weight than the man.
I think that the man is as important as money. Money is as important as the man. Moment is as important as the man. Moment is as important as the money. Yeah. All 5 must work together to create the right climate for change. If you don't have that, there wouldn't be.
But the word climate for change is what we call movement.
No, I understand. And
that's what we are calling movement.
Yeah, but I'm not using it in Lankan. I'm talking about to be able to change, to shift the paradigm.
Yeah, but you see, the reason why we are trying to rank this is that you can have money, you can have a machine, the party, you can even have the right candidate. But if the timing is not right, because the timing is the mood of the people.
No, that's what I'm saying. That all 5 must work together to effect change. If you don't have all 5 working together to effect change, change will not happen.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But I'm saying that, you see, okay, look at it this way. Which one, when absent, makes it impossible to bring change? Do you see where I'm going now? So whilst all 5 are important, we are saying that if you are doing analysis of, so it's almost like all 5 factors are working together, but it's not necessarily random motion. They are working together in a sequence.
Let me explain something.
No, listen to me. What I'm saying is that all the 5 work together. The Bible says all things work together. But the things that work together, there are some that start and there are some that follow. So Nathan's argument is that all 5 work together, but the trigger is the moment.
Hold on. You see, I am saying that we cannot disaggregate and try to apportion specific, if you like, margins to the elements and say that, oh, you need, say, 10%, 20% to start this and that and that. Let me tell you something. In 2000, when was the Tain election held? This was in 2008, right?
Yes.
2008.
Yeah.
The outstanding one, the one in time.
Yeah.
Okay.
2008. First of all, you can argue that the NDC was virtually broke.
So there was no money.
There was no money. Similar to what John Kufuor had
In 2000.
in 2000.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to the adverts,
There was nothing.
they were obliterated, right? The machine, yes, they had in Jerry Rawlings and the people themselves, the party chiefs themselves going out to campaign. The message was right. We need change. These guys are abysmal. They have wasted our time. Yeah. They are corrupt. Take them out of power. The man was who?
Mills,
yeah.
Now, everything was set for a change.
Yes.
But you see, you know what ultimately did the trick?
What?
If you watch the documentary that was done out of the race, right?
The African election.
Yeah. What caused the shift for NDC to win that election was because the people of Ghana said, look, we are tired of this administration.
Is that not the moment?
No, wait. I'm trying to make a point. Now, at that time, it was obvious that there were certain people who wanted to, if you like, compromise the election outcome.
Yeah.
You understand? But people stood up and said, no way. And when people were called upon to respond to the Electoral Commission's, to report to the Electoral Commission's premises and put pressure on the system, the people responded. Now, the point I'm making is that if they had all the items without the movement, people saying that they wanted to respond. No, hold on.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hold on. The point I'm trying to make is that.
Let's move on. Let's make money and then come back.
I understand.
Because the money is also important.
Yeah, the moment is 805. Yes, let me finish. I am saying that if all of them don't come together.
So you think that it's not sequential, it's basically just working together?
Yeah, that's right. All of them are
fair enough. Okay. No problem. We don't need to split us over this. Okay. By the way, all of this is to sense whether the third force, independent candidate thing will work, which is why we are doing all of this analysis. And the question I've put on the table is that, will you vote for Alan to be president in 2024? Let me tidy up the question and then bring it to my colleagues in studio. So, is this the right moment for a third force or an independent candidate? That's question 1. And question 2, is Alan that man? You see how the prophet told David, you are that man. So the question is, Nathan is laughing. Is this the right moment?
I'm laughing because we all know the name of the prophet.
No, the Nathan, the prophet. When David committed sin with Bathsheba,
gave him the story.
So Nathan,
but who is that with him?
So Nathan, this Nathan here, went to David and gave a nice story. So Nathan is like that. He will tell you the thing direct. He told a nice story. And David said, this person is a wicked man. And they say, you are that man. David said, me, say you. So, Sky, the question for the table, is this the right moment? When I say this, I'm not talking about today, 26th. I'm saying between now and 2024 election, is this the right moment for the duopoly to be broken? Because don't forget, the most recent articles I've read, I told you, J. Rampo wrote something on July 17, 2016 about breaking the duopoly. And that's been how many years? 7 years, right? People have been talking about we are tired of NDC, NPP, but they are even consolidating. In fact, if you look at Parliament, NDC and NPP are even getting stronger because from having independent candidates, now we have only one independent candidate, all the other parties don't have anybody else. and the margins are razor thin now. So is this the moment for the duopoly to be broken? And is Alan the man to lead it? I think the question is in the right order, right? Fantastic. Let me start with Nathan. Is this the right moment between now and 2024? Just your quick thoughts. Do you sense that there are enough people who are tired of NDC and NPP and therefore want a third force or a new idea?
Okay, I'll answer it this way. Between the last election and now, the number of people who want a new option has gone up. That's a fact. Is that number enough to cultivate a third force? I don't think so. Between now and 2024, maybe that number can balloon in size dramatically. But when I just look and observe and all, I doubt because of a number of reasons. One, now, how many people or how many potential independent candidates will people trust fully? People may like the message. They may like the man. He may have money and a machine. But people will look at him and say, okay, so if this guy wins, who will form his government? And I feel for a lot of people, that's a deal breaker because there's a lot of mistrust in the current crop of people in the political circle. There are lots of people who, and from the protests we saw the other, people are very tired of the establishment.
Yeah.
Be it NDC and PP. Some people just don't want to hear talk of that. Even those who will still vote for those parties are now tougher and more frontal in their demands for accountability, better performance and all. So even if an independent candidate emerges, the question most people ask is, does he have any leanings to start with? Once there's that inkling of a leaning, people start to wonder if really they want that independent candidate. And that conversation has quickly arisen concerning Alan. People are asking, okay, now even if you want to go independent and you win in that event, who will form your government? Will you still bring back your old friends from the NPP?
The Constitution says ministers must come from Parliament.
So who formed that
majority? So he will have half of his ministers from Parliament.
From which side?
Both sides.
You get it. So
that there will be unity government.
So I feel that the key element in this discussion around the third force independent candidate for a lot of voters will be, where does that person lean? Is he purely independent? Does he have ties to any party, either NDC or NPP? I feel that once people are not too sure of those things, they might walk away or they might look at that person and say, oh, great attempt, but let's hope for a more neutral, more
in your answer to my first question about whether this is the moment, you are saying it's building up, but it's not yet there.
I don't think so, and I could be wrong, but that's just how I see it.
All right. Akoto. So, okay, hold on. Second question. Is Alan the man?
No.
He's not the man.
Yeah.
All right. Is this the moment now, basically now, all the way to the election and probably first year into the election? Are we in a moment where people are saying, you know what, we have to show these two leading parties a lesson? We are not happy with NPP, but we don't think NDC is the answer. So we want a credible alternative to the choiceless democracy we have. Is this the moment?
The anger on the street says so. But the realist in me also constantly tells you, I've seen people in this country be more political than religious. People love their NPP, NDC more than they love God.
Some people.
Most people. the hardcore people. The hardcore. Why would you see NPP, NDC colors in church?
Don't forget, I told you we have loyalists.
Yes.
We have supporters.
And the loyalists are many.
We have sympathizers. And then we have
the
voters. So again, today I'm doing a lot of models. So LSSV. So loyalists, loyalists are hardcore.
Yeah.
Supporters could be card carrying.
Yes.
Sympathizers like the party.
Yes.
But they won't necessarily even get a card. And then voters are people who vote for the party.
Irrespective.
Yeah. So those are the four groups.
Yes. But with regards to your first.
One more.
Which is what?
Zealots.
That's loyalist.
No. If you are a loyalist, it must be serviced. Loyalty must be serviced. If it is not serviced, it will die or it will shift.
You know.
Zealots.
Another line. Put it down.
You know, it falls nice and elegant, but I'll add a zealot just for you.
Zealots there.
Because we also have those.
Yeah. They are the true.
No, the reason why I did this was to categorize in percentages. So like the loyalists will be, for example, the people who are going to, if you take MPP, the loyalists are the people who are going to vote for the 200,000 people who are going to vote in the delegates conference.
Yeah.
Do you understand? That will be the loyalists of MPP, 200,000 people who are MPP through and through. Then you have the supporters are the generality of the votes they get, anything between 1 million to 4 million. Do you get it? Then the supporters, even the supporters and the sympathizers mix. So sympathizer could be somebody who, because of where he's from, he's amenable to MPP or NDC, but not necessarily saying he's a member of the party.
Yes.
But he just prefers MPP because he doesn't like NDC, or just prefers NDC because he doesn't like MPP. Right? And then the voters are you and I. We just vote because we are like, who? So if you add the zealot, then the zealot will be the 900. So the 900, because I'm also forming subsets. So 900 is a lot, 200,000 loyalists, supporters 4 million, sympathizers another extra 2 million, and then voters the rest. Anyway, so thank you for that. Go on.
Yeah. And also, for me, the question, about the moment, is this really the moment?
That's the first question.
That's the first question. And it's something, because when you look at the examples of the movements, they are national. They're overwhelming. So,
are you sure this movement
Calm
thing
down.
is not just
calm down.
we in Accra and the social media people?
But that's what I'm saying, that movements are overwhelming. They are national, especially the kind of movements that we have now. But movements start from somewhere. So we could say we are the beginning of the movement, where there is just that overriding sense that this is too much now. And I'm saying this based on a very interesting example. The current Tunisian president, Kais Saied, the professor, ran as an independent and won.
Wow.
Yes.
But do they have an established political?
Oh, of course. A very well established. In fact, the two established parties were all whipped in the first round of the election
By the independent guy.
by Kais Saied and what's the other one? Koli, the billionaire. He's a media guy. He owns a lot of media in Tunisia. And Kais was carried by the movement. And Tunisia's movement had taken a while. But it had also reached the point where the same conversations we're having in Ghana, the difficult economy, corruption, high cost of living, unemployment, everything had come. Young people were very, very upset and just felt they needed to move away from the established order. So in doing so, they identified Kais Saied, who he basically ran the election without advertising.
Serious?
Yes, he did not advertise.
Tunisia?
Yes, he had no money. If you follow the Tunisian election close when he won, he's misbehaving these days. But when he won, he's the one misbehaving with migrants. But when he was running the campaign, he ran basically no advert campaign. He got no money. He was campaigning from his office. Young people would go to his academic office. He would talk to them. He would chat with them and all that. And they felt he was the man who could help. He was very different from the establishment. So you see, he being an independent reflected a separation of what had always been. So the movement was there. They found their man. Now, the man fits the movement because the man had no attachments to the establishment as well for them.
Okay.
He didn't need money because, like I said, he ran a no advert campaign. So he would not have spent as much money. He would have spent money, but not as much. So it brings me to the scenario we have here.
Is this the right moment?
Where I'm saying it is the start of the movement.
Oh, it is the start of the movement.
Start of the movement.
Because
we've seen this
start
before.
Of the moment.
Yes.
Okay.
But the movement requires momentum.
Hey, brofo. I like that. Charlie, no, play a jingle. The movement requires momentum.
You see,
This is powerful.
The momentum is building. Whether it can be sustained depends on the people. Okay? If it dies down, then the established order says, well, it was fleeting. So then you have the loyalists, the zealots,
They come at you.
And say, well, we told you, like, things are bad, but we will sort it out. So we are sorting it out.
Yeah.
So in this particular one, the movement is building. Now, with regards to Alan and whether he is the man for the movement, his options were this for me.
Mm-hmm.
He could have chosen to be part of the movement from the onset.
But when did the movement start?
The movement has been building. Did he notice the build-up?
Good question.
Did he notice the build-up?
We didn't. Let's think about that.
You see, because to in the end, you will have to appeal to the people who are moving the movement.
So if you think he missed the beginning, but you need to be at the beginning of the movement, you can join.
No, you have to. You can join, but you have to be identifiable with the people.
So you are not
seen
as an imposter,
because you're not seen as an opportunist. Not an imposter, an opportunist, which could be counterproductive, because then we question your motive.
Charlie, these are a lot of things you are saying. No?
Okay.
So because the movement started before he joined, he has a lot to prove that he is actually genuine and not an opportunist.
And part of the movement. You see? So if the movement has arisen, the movement might end up identifying with a Nilexis or a Nathan Quao or somebody else who was there. Because those are the main elements that they identify
But
with.
what if he says, I was in there fighting quietly for you, so that the fact that I wasn't in the streets at the beginning does not mean I wasn't on your side?
He has a hard task proving that to anybody, which is why I'm saying he missed perhaps the timing, because timing is key. When we did the analysis of his output in the super delegates, I made the point to you that his timing was a bit off, because I felt Alan should have left to focus on his presidential campaign after the 2020 election. Give yourself enough time.
You shouldn't have accepted the trade minister role
again. Whatever it is, because then he would have started sniffing out the movements. So
Hold on. That point you make, is it in reference to he running for NPP flag bearer or going independent?
No, because it is about the ambition of being president.
Which has many options.
Either the party machinery carries you, or you go as an independent candidate and hope the general populace carries you.
Let me hope you do that. So he accepted to be NPP minister, ostensibly to prove to NPP that he was still part of the system.
Yes.
Because it was on the record of NPP that he would run.
Yes. So,
and then when things didn't turn out right, he left. So then the question is, for the people who are now part of the movement, the independent who are saying he may be an opportunist, his accepting the role damages him.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make to you, in the sense that, so what took you so long?
But maybe his original plan was to go on NPP. So he accepted the job, because you can't also say you want to be NPP flag bearer. Akufo-Addo offers you trade minister, and then you say you don't want it because you want to be president. Then they say, okay, what about the guys who are running as Agric minister and vice president, helping to create a record that you will run on as MPP? So if you say you want to be NPP flag bearer, you must be seen to be part of the MPP system.
Yes.
So it's a very difficult choice.
But you do not need to be a minister to be a part of the MPP system. His credentials had long been established in the party: founding member, treasurer, fundraiser extraordinaire, ambassador, this, that.
But if he hadn't accepted to be trade minister, what would he be doing then whilst they were trying to sort out the economy and things? What would he have to show for his... What would he bring to the table to MPP delegates?
At that point, he has nothing to prove to MPP delegates.
Why?
So the first 4 years of his ministership was not enough to prove. He has to serve the full 8 years to prove
actually,
that point.
He also chopped some and Akufo too.
Yes. He had to prove that again.
I get you. So he didn't need 2021.
For nothing. The man's reputation had been built since the 90s,
so
if I'm not mistaken.
He should have then started organizing. But do you think as a non-minister he could have done that? Where would the resources come from? Where would the visibility come from?
But if we are to assume the resources come from him being a minister, then we are dealing with corruption.
No. I'm talking of like visibility of, like, for example, if you're a minister, almost every week you address 2 or 3 gatherings.
Yes.
If you
But you cannot campaign on those gatherings.
No, but if you manage it well, you are building a coalition.
Yes.
So don't underestimate the visibility of being a minister. So if you're a trade minister, they launch a pharmaceutical company in Tema, you are there. They launch a vehicle manufacturing plant, you are there. You have access to the CEOs. You speak to them. They see your mind. They make proposals to you about reform. So you are if you are not a minister, access and convening power is reduced. Don't forget, in African politics, it's a politics of big manism, right? So if you are just a former minister of trade, it will be difficult to have the access, unless of course you're saying he's already built that under his 4 years.
Yes.
And under 4 years of Akufo-Addo.
Exactly.
So he
didn't need those things.
Serious?
He did not need those things.
Wow.
So here he is. He has announced he's running as an independent candidate. I'm not going to hold him on the point of ideology, because obviously it looks like he's still Dankwa Buzia.
Yeah.
Just feels that he needs to go about it in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to hold him. Again, I don't think he's running away from most of the items that the NPP campaigned on anyway. Okay, if you listen to him, he still has the...
but he did say though...
But he did
say though that the NPP and the NDC have disappointed Ghanaians. When you listen to the speech yesterday, it was a bit of a departure. It was basically criticizing the NPP and the NDC for not delivering the development Ghanaians want. And this is probably the first time, because a few weeks ago he was supposed to be the one leading the same NPP, and he would have said a different thing.
Yes.
If he had won. So I'm not too sure if you can say that he's not departing. Maybe this announcement is a departure from... It's a repudiation of NPP ideas.
Going forward, we will see just how much of a departure there is. You know, and again, the most important part for me then becomes the matter of the machinery. I do not share the concerns about he needs to contest, he needs people in parliament and all those things. If the whirlwind is with you and you win, you can unite parliament behind you.
So that's not such a big problem.
That's not such a big problem. That's not because once you have the way this country's constitution works, if you are president, you have a lot of power.
Yeah.
Once you actually become president, it does not matter if you can unite parliament.
But is that not where the problem is? Because we have a constitution that gives too much power to the president.
Oh, yeah.
So if somebody's coming on an independent ticket, is that not inherently problematic? Because, or maybe that solves it, because if he's independent, he's forced to work with parliament, which is not his parliament.
His parliament.
So Sky, look at this in a very interesting way. If somebody wins an election with a big majority, he is able to run roughshod over parliament because he will have to appoint himself from parliament, and they all want his attention. So parliament becomes subservient to the executive. But to legislative purists like Alajete, they will say to you that maybe if you have an independent president who has a parliament of different people to choose from, suddenly parliament becomes very, very important. And a president who has no party has to work with parliament. Maybe I'll let you deal with that as a separate issue, because one of the reasons why parliament has been weakened is that the MPs in parliament feel subservient to the party and the executive. Yeah. So if you have a president who has no parliament on his own, and he has to negotiate with the majority and minority leader to push bills through, he may be more sensible.
Yeah, but even...
So we'll pack that thought, deal with it as a separate issue.
But let me just wrap up for you, just on the Alan thing.
Yes.
In summation for me,
yeah,
will he make much of an impact as an independent candidate? I don't think so.
Okay, his people say something. I want you to add that to analysis. His people said, Courage said, Alan has been in public office for over 20 years. No corruption scandal, no skeletons in his cupboard. He's clean. That's what he said. And to be fair, yes, there aren't many politicians like that where you cannot point to... I mean, Sky, we've done this work for 20 years, right? A lot of...
Sky has a black book.
Do you understand? We have a lot of politicians where at least... The guy said he is one of the few politicians who have served as the highest ambassador to America and trade minister for a long time, and he has had no scandal except the cash for seats. So I just remember that, the cash for seats.
So
his point is that he's
incorruptible.
Yes, he's basically saying that the guy he's clean. He said the guy is clean. That's what he said. And it's not a very easy message to push, because it's not many people are clean.
But the problem he has...
So is that not strong enough for the third force argument that you need a clean guy? So even though he's part of the system, or is too part? It's too part.
But I am clean. Can I become a third force?
But you're not part of the system. He is.
Which is exactly the point I'm making.
So because he's part of the system,
he cannot benefit. I might stand a better chance of benefiting from the moment than he does.
But what does history say about people who've come out of a system? So for example, Trump was the first president in a long time
From outfield.
who was completely out of the system.
From outfield.
He may not be the best example to use, but he still needed the machine of the Republican Party to
Yes,
win.
which brings me to the difficulty that Alan faces.
Yep.
He doesn't have time. Okay. If he planned on being NPP's flag bearer, it means he planned on winning with the party's machinery. And it's a well-oiled machine. It's won a lot of elections in this country. Now he has to come up with his own machine. He has to come up with his own resources.
His own money.
To be able to do this and become attractive enough on a national scale in roughly 14...
Yeah.
No, roughly like 14 months.
Yeah.
Roughly 14 months.
Yeah.
It's a huge task. So it's good for him. It will be interesting to see where he goes with this, his independence, and
So let me
also
just
be interesting to see the people behind him.
Good. So Nathan says the movement is building up. Alan is not the man. Godfred says the movement has started. It is gaining momentum. He doesn't think Alan is the man.
He's not the man.
Okay. The two people have. I don't know if there's any meat left in the soup.
No.
It looks like they've said a lot of what you wanted to say.
Yeah, they've said a lot of the things that matter. Let me just add. Ideally, I would have.
So
said
are you
that-
adding them with them on the movement building up point?
Yes, but I depart from them on a few things.
Okay.
So let's talk about the moment.
Thank you.
Is this the moment to some extent? Because the NDC government that was voted out of office was voted out with about 1 million votes in the
2016.
Yes. Because people thought that the promise of a better Ghana, as President Mills had put it, was not delivered. The promise to tackle corruption was not dealt with. The promise to ensure that things are done value for money was not, profligate expenditure, as President Mills had said, was not reined in. You understand? So people were tired and said, look, let's throw out the NDC. And they did. Now, at the time, Nanado became the man to lead the change because of the message he was delivering, the resources that supported it, the machinery that supported the NPP around the country, and they were able to win victory, right? And the message was clear. I would deliver the Ghana that you guys want. I will turn it into an economic hub.
Ghana deserves better.
Ghana economic, well, what did he put? He put it what?
Yeah,
Beyond a...
Yeah,
that's right. All these beautiful things. So the masses went for Nanado believing that he was coming to deliver that.
Yes.
But the evidence before you and I suggests that he has equally failed. Astronomically. It's been a disaster of a performance. Now, if you look at it from that context, you will say that, hallelujah, the moment has arrived.
No, don't forget the question is the moment for the duopoly to be broken.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm saying. If you say that the government before it failed, the government after the initial failure has equally failed.
If you have two negatives, it gives you a positive.
Exactly. So you would say that the moment is here.
Yes.
So let's go with it. But is that really the case? Do you honestly believe that regardless of the failures of the NPP and then the NDC, people will just jump ship and say, we think that we want someone else to come and lead the ship of state? I do not think so.
Someone as in a person or a party?
As in a person or some other...
Or a movement?
Or a movement. I don't think so. Let me tell you why. Ideally, you would expect that someone who is untainted politically will seize the moment. Alan is not... Okay, I'm now going into the other
man side, but still...
let me... Before the 2016 election, we had Occupy Jubilee House, right?
Yeah.
These were, to a large extent, some of the finest professionals we had in the country. some of the finest academics,
The politicians took over.
some of the people who, when they spoke at the time.
We know that the politicians took over.
No, I'm making a
Don't
point.
belabor the point.
No, I'm
It
getting
started as a natural movement. The politicians hijacked it.
No, yeah, you see, the Occupy Jubilee House that I covered.
It was a pure thing.
Yes, it was pure.
But that was just the first one.
People who were genuinely expressing
Yes.
their interest in navigating Ghana towards the right thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what happened?
Which is why yesterday the guy I interviewed said they have been careful not to allow politicians to hijack fix the country because of the experience of Occupy.
There are already traces of that.
Okay, no problem. But your point is what? I want you to
My
clarify.
point is that while we will say that the moment is here, I do not think that people want to jump ship from NDC to go and experiment something else. And I do not think that people want to jump ship from NPP to go and experiment something
Hold on there. Which people? Because the people are menu. Don't forget we've categorized the zealots, the loyalists, the supporters, the sympathizers, and the voters. So maybe the loyalists may not.
put together.
Hold on. Are you telling me that sympathizers of NDC and NPP are not tired of the two parties?
They are,
Because see, in the categorization, the loyalists and the zealots, they have something to lose if their party is not in power. And then the ones in the NDC, obviously, when the party comes, they grab. So they are the people who benefit. Now, the supporters, I'm not sure. Because the supporter of a party may not necessarily directly benefit when the party is in power, except for sentimental reasons.
Yeah.
Then the sympathizers are even further away because they are just emotionally, it's not even emotional, it's more like, oh, Charlie, where we come from, this party is the party they vote for, so fine, we are okay with them because we don't like their opponents. Are you telling me that the sympathizers and the ordinary voters don't want a change?
You see, people are tired of their current economic situation. But you see, as you rightly put it, there are factors that determine how people vote. Those factors are economic, those factors are ethnic, those factors are religious, those factors are based on what do you call it? Sebeko go nkwandi enko over the bar.
Bro.
Yeah, that's right. So if you put all of those things together, I do not think that people in this country will want to say that. If you look at the political space,
You are saying that the vote is not purely rational.
no, it's not.
But it's a lot of emotion too.
A lot of emotions, ethnic issues, economic
Yeah,
issues.
but hold on. No. The view that NDC and NPP has failed is not only a rational view, it's also an emotional view.
No, it's a rational view. Majority of the time.
you don't get it. People's dissatisfaction with the two parties can lead them to be angry with the two parties. So my point is that it's a manifestation of both rational and emotional feeling. Do you understand?
Okay.
So they feel let down by the two parties. So you are saying rationally the two parties didn't deliver development and transformation. That's correct. But emotionally as well, it can lead them to say, because don't forget, the emotion is what drives a person to want to take risk. So that emotion of being let down and disappointed can lead them to go for a third force if they have the right person.
No, you see, we have tried that before. On any day, Papa Kwesindum, right? Despite the excesses he carried from being a member of a Kufuor government, as in the government damaged in that sense, would have been a fine option for people to look to and say, oh, this is the third force, let's go for him. He had the money with him.
But he didn't have the moment.
Hold on.
Guy, if you had an Indum today, think about Gum's performance, right?
It was because of the church.
Hold on. You see, don't forget, Indum came in 08, first 04 into parliament, 08 CPP, PPP, 2012, and then 2016, what happened. My point is that if in the exasperation with NDC and NPP had not come to its head in 2008, because they had just had 8 years of Kufuor. 2012, Mills dies, just 4 years of Mills. So you still don't have the thing hasn't fully matured. Mahama did 4 years. We were tired of 8 years of NDC. They voted them out and got back to NPP. But NPP is going to do 8 years and Ampo feel like there's disappointment. So my point is that if Indum were still the Indum we know in 2010, who had the same machine he had in 2024, it may have been a different story because whilst he was the man, the moment was not right. But I'm not saying, no, hold on, I'm helping you here. Now that you are saying that the movement may be evolving, if they find a credible person Because this election is unlike the previous elections. That's why NPP says they want to break the 8, because they've seen that there's a clear pattern. After 30 years of democratic rule, there's a clear pattern established. You have 8 years of NDC, 8 years of NPP, 8 years of NDC, 8 years of NPP. So that's two doubles. So now you have a clear pattern. So that's also enough for people to see that we've seen the extent of these two parties and they've not really helped us. Unlike 8 years ago, where you can say that NPP had only had one stint. So even if somebody wanted to change from NDC, they would have said, let's still give it to NPP. But now they've seen NPP too. So if you say that the Indom was a fine man, yes, but the time was not ripe. But now, based on the argument you guys are making, if they find the right person, maybe voters may think different.
I will address the man bit. But you see, in 2008, the MPP had equally shown that although it did a passable job, it was not a credible alternative to the NDC.
Oh, but that was just after one election. That was just for 8 years of Kufuor.
Yeah, you see, I understand. But you see, what did Jerry Rawlings coming in promise the good people of Ghana? What did he deliver?
No, but see, think about it this way. If you're a voter who first voted in 2000, like me, you've seen a few years of Rawlings as a student, and then you've seen 8 years of Kufuor with his ups and downs. Don't forget, Mills won that election by a very thin majority.
Yeah.
Right? So it was a very close election. Indeed, another won the first round by 49.7. Okay? So the country was still split in half. Mills comes and does 4 years. It's interrupted by his death. Muhammad does another 4 years. 8 years of NDC is disrupted. So you had 16 years of NDC under the Fourth Republic, 8 years under MPP. So somebody will say, okay, NDC had more. Let's try MPP again to see if under a man who's been trying to be president for a long time, he will change things.
The point I'm making.
So I'm saying that the context of 2024 should be looked at from a democracy that is now mature.
No, you see,
as against a democracy that was in flux in 2016.
No, I understand that point. But I'm saying that just on the basis of 8 years for NDC and 8 years for the MPP, as of the time we were going for another election, which brought John Mills to power, right? The people of Ghana could have decided that we are going for an entirely.
But when you did the poll that time, very few people will say they will vote for none of the above. The reason why this is a different moment is that the poll Kojo did when he said from 2018, 2019, 2020, when people said I won't vote for anybody else. This is the first time we are seeing people say, and even in the other polls, we are seeing a lot of polls who are undecided. I argue that from 2008 to 2012, 2016, that group was very small. Because in that sense, people still felt it was a duopoly. If MPP misbehaves, go for NDC. This is the first time you are seeing people say that the two parties are both rubbish.
I am saying that before. In 2008, we had this discussion.
But there was no real evidence that people were exasperated with the two parties.
We just have a bigger span of years to deal with.
That makes it richer. That makes it richer.
I don't dispute that. But I'm saying that the fact that people have said that the NDC, MPP, they represent almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? They have said it before. But
not with the level of intensity that they are saying it now.
No, hold on. Let me give you the factors. John Kufuor, when he came, what did he do? He did whatever of the CD, right? Devaluation of the CD. He did something. Whatever it is, he did something, right? So, at the end of the day, people became worse off. As a matter of that policy, we were told that it was an economy rescuing decision. But the fact is, people, for some reason, felt that they had become worse off, right? And so when they voted at the end of the tenure of John Kufuor, they voted against the party, right? They voted against the party. Years before, Rawlings made a promise, which promise was to make the people feel better off. The people felt that he did not deliver that. And so when Mills came...
I agree. You are not understanding my point. The examples you are giving me are not even helping me because I know what you're saying. I know that people were disappointed. What I'm saying is that the feeling that the two parties are equally not helping has never been this loud.
The only difference is that today we have social media. Today we have greater avenues for people to vent their anger. Today we have more sophistication in terms of what people have seen elsewhere and are hoping that those things will play back here in our country. That is the difference. So that you had that, what do you call it?
So you are saying that 8 years ago or 16 years ago, people felt as despondent about the duopoly as they are.
Yes, because I was.
But see, that can't be true, because you can't. A duopoly that's only 12 years old cannot generate the same level of exasperation as a duopoly that's 30 years old.
You see, Bernard.
Yes, because the thing has had to mature for people to see that it's not leading us anywhere. You cannot say that. We all agree that NDC and NPP were suspected to be the same 16 years ago. But you can't say that the same emotion people feel now about the two is the same they felt in 2016. It's not.
Bernard, 2008, I was in the field. I traveled almost the entire country.
The only person. We're all in the field.
No, Bernard, you were mostly here. That's the truth. You were mostly here.
Let's not go there.
You were mostly here in the studio.
I agree. I'm saying that. See, let's agree. We are not. What I'm saying is that the issue of exasperation, even your poll shows it. The poll you put on your page, 21% of the poll say they are not going to vote.
If you did not vote this poll in 2008, in any case.
So how do you know that the result would have been the same?
I am saying that I traveled around the country. I was traveling around the country, covering what people were saying.
People were telling that they were not going to vote. How is the first time people are saying don't vote? Did they say that in 2012?
Yes! Why are you forgetting this? Do you forget inside politics?
That do
you forget that in those years we took microphones to the constituencies
and they said don't vote,
spoke to the people, held community engagements with the people. The people told us.
I didn't see a significant number of people say that they will not vote like I'm seeing in the trend now. I understand that you see, let's distinguish between frustration with the political establishment and a recourse to saying that we are tired of the two parties. Those are two distinct things.
Bernard, what I'm telling you is that at the time we did not have an immediate way of measuring how much people were frustrated with
the only way we could have measured that was the election. And the turnout election and the way they voted showed that they were not exasperated with the two. That's the only way we could have measured it. But now, so let's wait till 2024 and see. I'm saying to you that based on everything we know, the group who say they are neither NDC or NPP is growing bigger. As Nathan and Godfred said, we don't know how big they are. We don't know whether they are significant enough. But we all agree on the show today that there is the beginning of a certain moment.